Hey everyone, Ryan here. Today I wanted to share my Stephen King book collection. As you see, I have quite a few. But before I jump right into it, I want to say a few things about Stephen King and book collecting in general. So first of all, I own so many Stephen King books because one, he's my favorite author. I really like the way that Stephen King writes his characters and the plots that he has within his books. They're very engaging, very exciting. I get sucked into the books every time I read them. Two, when it comes to book collecting as a reader, it's not a necessity. So don't fall into the trap that you see on social media that all these influencers are buying books and that you have to be buying brand new books to be part of to be considered a reader. It's absolutely not the case. Uh, you can be a reader for absolutely free. There's great resources through your public libraries to get physical books, of course, and check them out. Or a lot of libraries are now using Libby, where you can download books and borrow them digitally on your phone or e-reader. So I would definitely recommend that if money's tight, or you just don't want to spend the money on it. Don't feel pressured into getting into collecting books or buying anything brand new. And that kind of leads into my third point. Uh, do not feel if you want to buy books and collect, you do not need to buy brand new. Um, for me, for my Stephen King collection, I have the majority of them were bought through used bookstores here in town. I have 39 Stephen King books, and out of those 39, 85% of them, 33 books are all used. And I'll show you later. But some of these books are in great condition. Like for this one, for instance, Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game, this book in particular that I purchased here, it's in great shape. And this is a used book I got at the Goodwill used bookstore, and it's a very old copy, and it's in great shape. And I love this way more than the version that I see at Barnes and Noble selling for brand new. And this was a lot cheaper. I got this for $5. So definitely hit up your local bookstores. It's definitely cheaper that way to find used books, especially for an author like Stephen King, who is quite well known and people read him a lot. It's very easy to find his books in used bookstores. So I would definitely recommend going that route. And it's kind of fun too, because it's kind of like a treasure hunt of sorts. Trying to find his books and going in like once a month or so and trying to see what's been brought in to the different used bookstores and see if you can find something that's missing from your collection. So I would definitely recommend, if you're going to get into book collecting, go the used book route. It is so much more fun that way, and it will save you a lot of money in the long run. So for this video, I want to show my Stephen King book collection. As I mentioned, I have 39 of his books at this moment. I have organized all his books by release date. We're going to first go through all the novels, and then towards the end, we'll go in a release date separately for the short stories. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I have Carrie. I just finished reading this book. I really enjoyed Carrie. Um, as I mentioned in my review video that's on my channel, um, I was kind of blown away with this book. I was not expecting his first book to be um, so well written and so thought out. Yeah, and it's definitely just a sign of how good Stephen King is. So definitely recommend Carrie. Next, we have Salem's Lot. This is one of the few books that I bought brand new. I've read Salem's Lot. I really enjoyed this book. Um, definitely really enjoyed it. And you'll notice that I have a few notable missings in my collection. The first one being The Shining. That's the third book released by Stephen King. And I just want to say, the having read his first two books and knowing how popular The Shining is, I haven't read it yet, but just knowing that those three books are his debut and his second and third releases is just incredible. That's probably the greatest release of the first three books, I think probably by an author that isn't like a series, having them all be independent. So I just want to say that's incredible. I don't know if people talk about that often, but I was thinking about that earlier this week and how Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining are Stephen King's first three releases, and they were just all killer books. So yeah, let's move on. Next, we have The Stand. I have this paperback version. That's just like pocket-sized one. It's very, very thick, as you can see. Um, I'm excited to read this one. This one should be cool. I'm working on reading this one um, soon, hopefully, as I get ready for the Dark Tower. Next, we have Firestarter and Cujo. Next, we have the Dark Tower. And as I go through the Dark Tower, I've just combined the Dark Tower all. We won't go through those by release date. I'm just going to show them all what I have now. And what I've done with the Dark Tower is I've been looking specifically for these older release books in the used bookstores. I really like these versions that have the pictures in them, the full color illustrations. For example, like this. So all the books I'm looking for the Dark Tower, I require that they have these beautiful illustrations in them. I think this is just beautiful, and it just makes me excited to read the Dark Tower series. So I've noticed when I've gone to Barnes and Noble that looking at the versions that they sell these paperbacks and they have no pictures in them, no full color illustrations. It's just the text. And that's kind of disappointing, and those sell for pretty expensive compared to just finding them used. So yeah, this one first. So I have the first 6 in the Dark Tower series. This is the Gunslinger. I'm missing just the last one called the Dark Tower. So next we have the Drawing of the Three, the Wastelands, Wizard and Glass. And I think this one's probably my favorite out of all of them in terms of just how the books looked. I haven't read The Dark Tower yet, so I don't know about the story, but just in terms of the book and the pictures, I think this one's pretty cool. I don't know. I like this purple a lot. This dark purple red. Um, yeah, so it's just been nice to look at on the bookshelf, just having it sit there. Followed closely by, I really like this version. I just got this one not too long ago, the Wolves of the Kala. I think this is very colorful, very vibrant, especially this cover here. This one's really cool as well. And again, as I mentioned, all of my Dark Tower books have the full color illustrations. So it's been a treasure hunt trying to find these, and I'm very excited to be almost unwrapping up my little treasure hunt here. Just looking for that last version of the Dark Tower. Hopefully in hardcover. I want to get it in hardcover because here I found the Dark Tower 6, Song of Susanna, in hardcover. So I think it would just look nice having the last two in hardcover. Song of Susanna. Let me see if I can find some nice pictures here. Okay. Moving on from Dark Tower back into the normal novels and release date. Next, we have the Talisman, followed by the infamous It. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'll be reading this one this October, to celebrate like Halloween, and a lot of people consider October like Stephen King month. So I will celebrate as well and read it. So I'm familiar with the story. I've watched the movies. I've watched clips from the 1990s TV series, and I think it's a great story. It's pretty chilling but fun, and has a good group of friends, and we see their journey as they grow up. Yeah, I'm just excited to finally really read it in its original release format instead of the movies. So I'm excited to read the book. And with the book, I just wanted to show. I know this is not a book, but I think this is cool. I bought this little Pennywise 3D print at a local festival here in town. So this just sits on my bookshelf right next to my It book, and it looks pretty cool. It was a little expensive, but it's pretty fun. Okay, moving on. We got Misery. So I'm excited to read this one too. Hopefully I can get to it by the end of the year. The Tommyknockers, the infamous Tommyknockers that everyone hates on. I read this back during the holiday break at the end of last year, and I can see people's complaints with Tommyknockers. Um, it can be a little repetitive, a little dry. Um, what I found when I first read it, I was just doing my normal thing where I only had time to read a little bit each night. That made it a little unbearable to read. But once I was fully off from work during the winter break, and I started just trying to chug through it, reading like 100 pages every day, it actually, the story became a lot more fun. I don't know if that was just the timing with the plot; it was became more interesting, and I think also just the faster pace of reading it in these big spurts, really helped make the book a lot more enjoyable. So yeah, if you, I know Tommyknockers doesn't have a good reputation, but I would definitely recommend still reading it if you're interested. And when you do read it, I would recommend reading it in big chunks. Read like 100 pages a day. Read it. Try to really read it really fast. It makes the story much more enjoyable. Kind of adds to the chaos that is this story. So yeah, that's Tommyknockers. Next we have Dark Half. Um, I read this book towards the beginning of this year. I really liked it, but I was about halfway done when I had jury duty. I got called in for jury duty, so I brought this book with me, and I just sat there in the waiting hall. They had me wait for 8 hours before dismissed me right before the end of the day, and I knocked this out, and it was quite enjoyable. So I gotta I have some good memories with this book. Reading it during um, right to get past to get through the time of jury duty. So it was a lot of fun. Next, we have Gerald's Game. I gotta say, this is probably my favorite book that I've collected, just purely from an aesthetic point of view. This, I don't know how I got so lucky at the used bookstore, but this is a very old copy, and it looks brand new. Um, it is it is just beautiful. I hope the camera's picking this up. It's so this 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 book sleeve is very crisp on it. No wrinkles, no nothing, and the color on it, it's perfect. It looks like no one ever read the book. It looks brand new. If you can see, it looks brand new. I got so lucky. Whoever bought this originally just held on to it for probably 20 years or so, and just had it on their bookshelf and never read it. So now I'm the lucky owner of it. Dolores Claiborne, Rose Matter, The Green Mile. So this was the first Stephen King book I read, and I gotta say, I think this was a great introduction to Stephen King. It wasn't too into the horror, but it had the enough of the fantastical, that's kind of noteworthy, like very common for Stephen King novels, where it's a very based in reality for the most part, where he only just has one supernatural element that's introduced. And I think this was a great introduction. I have a lot of love for this book. It really is what got me into reading Stephen King. And I want to mention quickly another notable book that I'm missing from my collection that I don't own yet is Pet Cemetery. I do not own that one yet. I'm still looking. I'm being very particular about the copy I'm I purchase from the used bookstore. I want to find a really good quality one, preferably in hardback. Something with the cat with the green eyes, ideally. I read Pet Cemetery uh, probably a year ago now, and I really enjoyed it. That's so far my favorite Stephen King book I read. It really got me back into reading. It scared me really bad, especially towards the end of the book. I was dreaming about it um, during those last like 50 pages or so. It just I was entrapped in that book. It really got me hooked. So I have a lot of love for that book. I read it. I got a copy from the library, so now I'm just looking for my own personal copy to add to my collection, and I'm just being pretty particular about it. So that's just a fun treasure hunt that I'll have throughout the years as I try to look for um, the right copy for my collection. Next, we have Bag of Bones, Black House, Lisey's Story, and again, this is another book that came from a used bookstore, and it looks brand new. I don't know what people are doing. I guess I'm just getting lucky with finding some books that people took really good care of and really loved. They weren't well worn or just maybe never even read. Yeah, this one and the next one that I'm about to show are both used books, and I've had a lot of success finding really nice copies. This is Duma-Key. So this is a beautiful, beautiful book. I love the colors and the illustration here on this book sleeve. This is very pretty. I'm looking forward to reading this one. From what I hear online, people say this is actually a really good and underrated Stephen King book. So I'm quite excited to read this one as well. Next, we have Under the Dome. 11/22/63. I gotta say, with 11/22/63, I've never seen this book in a used bookstore. I have a current ongoing theory that the more popular the book, the less likely you're going to see it in a used bookstore. And I've been kind of keeping a mental track of that as I've been trying to collect Stephen King books. And I gotta say, 11/22/63, I've never seen it. The Stand, I think I've seen once. The Shining, I've seen once. Salem's Lot, I saw once. Um, yeah, there's so many of his top books I've never seen or I've only seen once. Whereas some of his more unpopular books, like for example, let me think. Um, I see a lot of the Gunslinger. Every time I go to the used bookstore, I see the Gunslinger from the Dark Tower every single time. I haven't personally read the Dark Tower yet, but from what I hear online, that's a pretty well hated book, and kind of make it kind of proves my theory. So if you're interested in collecting books from used bookstores or you go shop at used bookstores, kind of keep that in mind. Kind of keep a mental tally in your head to see what books you see more often than others, and kind of see if my theory is true. I'd be interested to hear what your observations are. So that's just something I've known. I know 11/22/63 is widely regarded as one of his like top three books, if not his best book that he's ever written. And I'm excited. This is the book I'm going to read next. So I will post a dedicated review to it once I've read it and finished it. And then Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. So I still need to get my copy of The Shining so I can read it and also read Doctor Sleep. So I heard it was actually a pretty good sequel to The Shining after all those years, decades of uh, taking off from it and then coming back and revisiting it. So I'm looking forward to reading it. Next, we have Mr. Mercedes. Revival, which again, it's another, I found this at a used bookstore and it's absolutely well loved, well taken care of, looks brand new. Got this for only 10 bucks and it's originally 30 bucks here in the book sleeve. So I saved 20 bucks just buying used and it looks brand new. So yeah, again, I cannot iterate this enough. Used bookstores are the way to go for book collecting. It'll save you so much money and you can find so many hidden gems and I don't know, books that you like that are even the original versions, especially for these Stephen King books, are just better than the ones that they have at like Barnes and Noble or Books a Million that are brand new. Yeah, definitely hit up your used bookstores. You'll find some really cool gems, and it's a lot of fun. End of Watch. So this is the third book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. I have Mr. Mercedes and End of Watch. I'm just missing the second one in that trilogy, Finders Keepers. That's something I'm looking for. When I look to collect my books, I'm trying to always get something of like the same size, same publisher. So I have Mr. Mercedes and End of Watch are both. I got these together. You can see that they're same size, same publisher, so they look like they belong. I'm gonna be a little picky when I look for Finders Keeper and try to get one that fits in properly so it looks nice on the bookshelf. But that's just me being a little picky. If it comes down to it and I'm ready to read these books and I still haven't found Finders Keeper, I'll just find the version that I can at the used bookstore to read. Next, we have The Outsider. And The Institute. So that covers all my Stephen King novels. Now we're going to go over, I have quite a few short stories collections by Stephen King. So I'm going to show off those now. First and foremost, I have Different Seasons. This appears to be widely considered his most popular short story collection. Has some very famous short stories like Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption and The Body. Those two are very popular. So I see those sold as like little individual books at like Barnes and Noble for quite expensive. Where I found this whole collection of them for I got this for like $5. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading Different Seasons. I'm not familiar with these stories yet. Then I have Skeleton Crew. I have read this one. The Mist. Mist is a good story in here. My favorite short story, which is one I've never heard people talk about, is called the Jaunt. It's kind of like uh, it's a little science fiction short story, about 20 pages or so, about teleportation. I think that one was really cool. I think about that story at least once a week. It's pretty interesting. That's just me being like a science nerd. I like science fiction a lot, so I think that story that's why it's stuck in my head. But yeah, there's some pretty little gold nuggets in this one. So I like Skeleton Crew a lot. Then we have Four Past Midnight. Hearts in Atlantis. Just After Sunset. This one I found it didn't come with the book sleeve. A little disappointing, but I don't know. I like it. It looks a little cool. So yeah, Just After Sunset. Full Dark, No Stars. And lastly, I have here, this is a screenplay written by Stephen King. It's the Storm of the Century. So found this. It's quite literally a screenplay, as you can see. It's written just as a screenplay would be. There's even some pictures in here. Let's see, from the cast from the television show. So a little hard to see there, but you can see there's even some pictures. So this is, I don't know, this is a different, interesting format. And I just picked it up. I thought it'd be cool. And the background of it, the little blurb on the backside, cool as well. So excited to read this one as well when I have some time. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. That's my Stephen King collection at the moment. I have 39 of his books. I'm trying not to go too crazy with it, even though I've kind of passed that point already. It's kind of a little bit of a crazy collection, and my wife is a little worried about me about how many Stephen King books I have. But yeah, as I kind of mentioned before, I have a few more that I really want to add to my collection. The Shining, Pet Sematary, The Dark Tower, the last book in that series. Those are the three main ones, and Finders Keepers. I'm missing that from my collection as well. Those are like the four main ones I'm kind of keeping my eye out for, that I really want to add and make part of my collection. Most of his other stories that I don't have here, I'm not interested in, and I'm not one of those people that I'm going to collect just to collect. I want to get books that I'm interested in, and as you can tell, I have a lot of his books, and I really am interested in Stephen King stories. So yeah, I think, as I mentioned before, he's one of my favorite authors. He's my favorite author, and I'm just really glad I have this opportunity now as an adult to have the money and the time to kind of put into reading all these books, and I'm quite excited for it. So one other thing I'm trying to keep in mind is that, as I go about reading these books, initially I was just tearing through them one after another, just trying to read them all at once. Um, what I've done now is I'm slowing down. I'm being very slow in how I read Stephen King books. I'm not trying to read them all back to back to back. I'm not trying to read four in a row, because I know Stephen King is getting older in age. I believe he's already over 80 years old. And I just know the amount of new Stephen King stories and novels that we're going to get out are limited. And I just want to cherish reading these books, as the time comes. And yeah, I'll take my time with reading them. I just want to. I'm not too familiar with many of these stories. A lot of them are brand new to me, so I just want to take the time and make sure I cherish each one, because I know the amount of new novels and short story collections that we get from Stephen King are limited. Um, yeah, so I hope you kind of take a similar approach, and also just check out Stephen King if you haven't already. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you want to let me know what you have in your Stephen King collection. I'd be interested to find out and hear more. So that's all. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.